even after about 4 or 6 years of doing judo, my throws were still not landing as consistently or much at all in randori. Thinking back to it, it probably was a mix of bad habits developed from throwing the dummy so much and just getting accustomed to a literal inanimate object versus throwing a real human being. That's why I always stress the importance of doing both. Hesitation on entry. You know, when you're doing randori, I would kind of be in like that posted position and kind of afraid to stick my feet in to not get countered. Another issue was, not having the most optimal grips that allowed me to get my hips in and close enough to throw. I would always have like the standard lapel grip, which is helpful in certain situations, but not for the throws I wanted to do, which were like hip throws and stuff like that. And I think my last problem was not stepping deep enough. So after tweaking some details in my solo training where I really gave myself the time to really focus on my weaknesses and my mistakes and make them like my strengths, and focus also after on my strengths and making them like second nature when I'm doing randori, I slowly started seeing results on the mat. I was hitting more uchimata and osoto gari. I was even hitting like cool hip throws and even yoko tomonage, which was pretty cool. A little side throw that I'm kind of working on the side. So yeah, it was a mix of doing solo training, focusing on the mistakes, and doing lots of randori. So I'm going to show you the 2 exercises on my own and also at the dojo, what to focus on, that really helped fix my throwing problem to help me land more throws with my favorite techniques. And by the way, guys, I do have a one-on-one coaching program where I work closely with about 5 to 10 clients, voice crack, every single month, but they're serious grapplers. It's not just anybody looking for information. Like, they've been following me for a while. They trust me. They trust my methods. They're pretty much committed and willing to do whatever it takes to improve their throws. So if you're interested, there's a link in the description. You can book a free call, or you can message me on Instagram, and we can talk more and eventually onboard you onto the program. You could either do this one with a dummy or 2 points. You could use stones, cones, or 2 shoes. And it's the stepping deep drill. A lot of these drills I'm going to show are kind of unorthodox and different from the traditional uchikomi that we learn and practice. Traditionally, for example, uchimata, they teach you to do the T-step, which is important, especially for beginners, to master that, because you don't want to be like, you don't want to skip like the level 1, right? Sure, the point of judo is to throw, but at the same time, you should master each level before you do that. You don't want to be the guy who's like really good at throwing, but then when it comes to teaching a class or something, and like the professor wants to see, like, oh, how do you do the basic uchikomi? And you don't know how to do it well. Like, true mastery is knowing everything, except kata. I don't really care about that. So, for example, with the T-step uchimata, that's all you're doing. You're not really getting deep. You're kind of even stepping in front of him. But in real life scenarios, in real randori, that's never really going to work. So instead, you got to train yourself to step deeper in between your opponent's legs and go above and beyond. So I'm talking like super deep, like to the point where you want to see your foot on the other side of your opponent, like behind him. A good person that you can model from is Yoshiro Maruyama, the Japanese judoka. He's retired now, I think. But he had a very, very deep stepping uchimata. And he was a short guy, and he still landed what I would consider a tall people throw, which is uchimata. And I just was mesmerized by how deeply he would step. But when I'd see him do the wall uchikomi, the wall exercise that I always talk about, he would step really deep. So you could either do the wall, you could start with that one, and then as you get better at the motion, you can progress to the precision drill, which is this one, and stepping in between 2 points. And the more advanced you get and you want to up your precision, you can like narrow those 2 points to the point where you have like really good second nature aim, bringing that first step in. And then when you go and do this on a real partner, even in randori, the hesitation, just that muscle memory of stepping deeper, it's just like second nature, and then it'll increase the chances of you landing your uchimata, but also like hip throws, because hip throws follow the same principle as uchimata. If you have a dummy, which I recommend everybody go ahead and get you a grappling dummy, all the links are in the description, so you could check it out on Amazon. These are all the ones that I personally recommend. I personally have the last one, the ultra durable one, the invincible one that's made of genuine leather. But you could do the same thing. See how I'm doing here on the screen. Like, just stick your first leg in super deep. Practice it with hip throws, honestly. Even if your main throw isn't a hip throw, it's still like the same principle for a lot of throws like Ippon Sonage and Uchimata, except like Haraigoshi and Taiotoshi. Those are in Osotogari and any other Ashiwaza. Those don't really follow that principle, but like, who doesn't want to learn a forward throw? Forward throws are really cool. So this drill will really help you bring your feet in, close that distance, allow you to get your hips in and lift, and finally finish your opponent. Grappling dummies feet, the point I want to pass. Simply, working on certain grips, okay? So I noticed if you're gonna do a hip throw or Uchimata just from a standard traditional lapel grip, it's gonna be really hard. It's much easier if you can like fight for a dominant grip or even a collar grip. That'll just allow you to enter a lot easier. You close a lot of distance and your hips just magically go into place where they should be. You combine that with stepping deep, oh man, your opponent's finished. So with your grappling dummy or at practice, just practice kind of a drill that I do. I'm going to show it on the screen. But basically you're grabbing him with your left, the lapel, and then you're dragging him down, and then that's when you expose his back and you grab top grip. Or also if you're going against a lefty or whatever, just grab their left hand, rip it off from you, and just drag it down. You want him in a bent down position to expose again his back. You would grab that, then you would, you know, play around with it, maybe do a sticker, a Kosoto sticker to kind of like preoccupy him, and that's when you step in deep for either your hip throw or your Uchimata or any forward throw. And then like for Osotogari, for example, a good grip would be your armpit grip with the left hand, and then you could grab like collar or even lapel. Osoto works well with lapel. It's not, I don't experience the same issue as with Uchimata. But with this one, I noticed the armpit grip is really good for defense as well, because it allows you to post and push him away instead of just grabbing the sleeve, because you really have no surface to push your arm up against. Versus the armpit, it's like right here. You have all this body you can just push up against when you have like that grip. Versus if you just have his sleeve, there's no surface, so he could like pull you in and you're finished. But it's also good for attacking. I feel like there's personally much more kazushi coming from that armpit grip. So those are the two drills that really helped improve my throwing rate at home. That's the thing though, you gotta be consistent. I would say if you can practice it at least 3 times a week, 20 minutes a day. Voice crack, again, what the heck's going on with me? On top of work, hey guys, I had a full-time job, but I quit it recently, and I still basically work full-time. I make content full-time, I deal with my clients, and I help my dad with a landscaping business 3 days a week plus. And I still make time to do the solo training at least 2 to 3 times a week, and I go to the dojo like once or twice a week, and I go to the gym. It's possible, guys. It's not about spending a lot of time. It's not quantity, it's quality. Okay, that's a big thing that I'm a fan of. Okay, and lastly, I'm just gonna add a bonus tip of what to do in the dojo to kind of put everything that you're working on at home together. So at the dojo, practice your combinations. When you're in randori, right, like generate reactions, like doing the switch from doing a forward throw back to like a kosoto backwards throw. They call that the switch. Doing combinations again, like ippon kouchi, like you act like you're going for ippon sonagi. They'll step forward and then you just sweep that leg, or you hook it with kouchi gake. You can do a drop knee seo and quickly switch to a ouchigari, like an inside trip. You could do my favorite, which is like an uchimata failed to then a drop down again for a yoko tomonage. Remember that spin setup that I was talking about opens a lot of opportunities, a lot of openings. So just generate reactions, play around with it, have fun when you're doing randori. If you're still getting the hang of this, I recommend going with somebody who's lighter, or like a white belt, somebody who can't really anticipate your throws. That way you can really get the hang of this before you go against maybe somebody at your level or somebody heavier. So that's it for the video, guys. Once again, if you want to be a part of my one-on-one coaching, if you want help with this, personal help, personal guidance from myself, where I can give you personalized judo trainings, correct your form, give you feedback, make sure you really perfect your throw so you can use it for whatever purpose you want, whether it's self-defense. Got a couple guys that are into self-defense judo, competition, jiu-jitsu, if you want to stop pulling guard and work on your stand-up. We do it all here. So book a free call, link in the description. Also hit me up on Instagram. links are also in the description, and buy yourself a grappling dummy. Everything's in the description that you need. See you guys in this video. This is probably what the algorithm is recommending you to watch next.